Every trader dreams of mastery, but almost no one is prepared for the filth it demands. The truth is simple, but it's brutal. Trading isn't elegant. It's not about calm screens and clean charts. It's sweat, it's confusion, it's relapse, and it's shame. It is the slow, painful unmasking of your worst habits, the excavation of your hidden fears, the confrontation with the version of yourself you pretend doesn't exist. Every single profitable trader you admire has walked through psychological mud, the kind that stains your confidence and strips away every illusion you ever had. When you first begin, you imagine mastery as a steady, upward climb. You think discipline will come from a perfect routine, that confidence will just appear after a few wins. But you're wrong. Mastery doesn't grow in clarity, it grows in absolute chaos. It emerges from losing, from being wrong over and over and over again, from facing the deep humiliation of your own inconsistency. The dirty truth is that your journey to trading mastery only begins on the day you stop trying to look like a trader and start facing who you actually are. Trading exposes you in ways that nothing else in life ever will. It shines a spotlight on your greed when you're up, your raw fear when you're down, and your blinding arrogance the moment you think you've finally figured it out. You can hide from your friends, from your family, from your boss, but you cannot hide from the market. Every single click of the mouse is a confession. Every loss is feedback from a mirror that never, ever lies. This is what makes trading such a violent, confrontational form of self-awareness. You think you're learning about price action or indicators, but what you're really learning about is your own emotional wiring. You learn that success has almost nothing to do with how much you know about the market and everything to do with how much truth you can handle about yourself. That's why so few ever achieve mastery, because the path requires brutal self-confrontation, not just another strategy optimization. The really dirty side of mastery isn't about blowing up your account. It's about the complete collapse of your identity. You start the journey with this grand idea: I will master the market, but slowly, relentlessly, the market masters you. It humbles you. It bends your pride. It forces you to confront the massive gap between knowing something and actually being that something. You realize that reading 10 books on patience doesn't mean you understand it, and having a trading plan does not mean you can follow it when your pulse is spiking and your ego is screaming in your ear. Real mastery happens in the quiet moments that no one else ever sees. It's when you take that small loss instead of revenge trading. It's when you walk away from the screen while your mind is begging you to stay and make it back. It's when you finally admit to yourself that you are not in control. These moments are the invisible victories. They don't look glorious. They look boring, repetitive, even painful. But these are the very foundation of consistency. Every trader who truly evolves has a breaking point, a moment when the illusion of control completely shatters. Maybe it's after a massive drawdown that leaves you breathless. Maybe it's after months of stagnation, where you feel like you're just spinning your wheels in the mud. That breaking point feels like failure. It feels like the end. But it's not. It's the birthplace of real mastery, because for the very first time, you stop fighting the market and you start listening to it. You stop chasing certainty and you start respecting uncertainty. Mastery is not perfection. It is the ability to remain steady in the middle of your own imperfection. It is the art of losing small and thinking clearly, even when you feel like you're falling apart. The dirty side of mastery is that it's never complete. You don't arrive at some final destination. You just adapt. You bleed, you recover, and you continue. The professional trader doesn't eliminate emotion. He learns to dance with it. He learns to turn his fear into valuable information, his doubt into genuine curiosity, and his pain into surgical precision. Most traders fail, not because they lack intelligence, but because they refuse to get dirty. They want the control without the surrender. They want the clarity without the confusion. They want the results without the humility. But the market rewards the exact opposite. The more you accept your own imperfection, the cleaner your execution becomes. The more you embrace uncertainty, the more stable your confidence grows. This is the paradox of trading. You only become clean after you've walked through the dirt. The emotional grime that you're trying so hard to avoid is the very thing that polishes you. Each mistake scrapes away another layer of ego. Each setback sands down another illusion. Eventually, you are left raw, real, and resilient, the version of yourself that can finally handle the truth. Trading mastery is not about reaching a destination. It is about enduring a transformation. It is a lifelong conversation between chaos and composure, between pride and humility, between your instinct and your discipline. The professional trader doesn't seek comfort. He seeks clarity, not from the market, but from deep within himself. In the end, the dirty side of mastery is the only side that truly matters. Because until you are willing to face your own internal chaos, you will never find true order in your trading. Until you accept that real progress often looks and feels like failure, you will keep chasing illusions of control. And until you stop pretending that trading is clean, you will never understand what mastery really feels like: silent, unglamorous, and profoundly human. Real mastery isn't about winning. It's about withstanding. It's about showing up again after every mental collapse. Not because you crave victory, but because you crave truth. The market is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. And every loss, every doubt, every emotional scar is just part of the tuition you pay to learn the one lesson that actually matters. You do not master trading, you master yourself. I used to think that impatience was the silent killer of traders, but I was wrong. The thing that truly destroys you, that grinds your spirit to dust, isn't impatience. It's the relentless pursuit of perfection. Every single one of us starts this journey with the same dream, right? We want to be the one in control, the one who understands the market, who understands themselves, and who masters every single decision with surgical precision. But somewhere along the way, that hunger for control twists into something else. It becomes a religion, the religion of perfection. You start to believe that only when every star aligns, when every indicator screams yes, only then do you deserve to click that buy or sell button. But let's be honest, the market isn't perfect. It's chaotic, it's irrational, and sometimes it's downright merciless. It doesn't reward perfection. It punishes hesitation. You know this. You've read the books, you've watched the videos, you've taken the courses, you have a plan, you have a system, and yet you wait. You wait for that one magical moment when everything looks clear. Picture this, because I know you've been there. You open the chart, you see the setup you've been waiting for all day, but a voice whispers, it's not clear enough. So you close your laptop. 2 hours later, you check again, and the price has broken exactly where you predicted. You just watch, your heart pounding, mouth dry, a wave of regret washing over you. And what happens next? You jump into the very next trade you see, not because it's the right setup, but because you're desperate to erase the pain of missing out. That loop, my friend, isn't logic, it's psychology. Perfection isn't a virtue in this game. It's a defense mechanism. It's your mind's clever way of protecting you from the sting of failure. You tell yourself, I'm just being disciplined, waiting for the perfect setup. But what you're really saying is, I'm scared of feeling worthless again. You're saying, I'm scared I'm not good enough for this. You're saying, I'm scared of facing who I become when I lose. I remember a time, after a long winning streak, I started to believe I had it all figured out. I thought I had achieved total control. I've cracked the code, I told myself. But then the market turned on a dime. And I fell silent, not because I lost money, that's part of the game. I was silent because I couldn't understand why I was wrong. And to avoid that feeling, that deep, unsettling pain of being wrong, I started building an illusion. The illusion of perfection, a perfect system, a perfect entry, a perfect version of myself. I thought that once I reached that untouchable level, I'd be safe. But in reality, all I was doing was building a mental prison, brick by brick. Every single trade became a test of my identity. If a trade wasn't perfect, it meant I wasn't good enough, and that belief paralyzed me. This pursuit of perfection in trading isn't a goal, it's a survival instinct. Your body isn't afraid of losing money. It's afraid of losing your self-image. When you lose, you don't just lose capital, you lose a piece of your identity. And to avoid that pain, the brain creates a comforting story. Just wait a little longer. Be a little more certain. But the market doesn't wait for you. Opportunities don't show up in broad daylight, fully formed and obvious. They hide in the shadows, wrapped in a thick fog of uncertainty. The hard truth is, if you only trade when things look obvious, you're not a pioneer, you're a follower. You're trading the opportunities that others already acted on. You're not the predator, you're the scavenger picking up the scraps. Perfection makes you look smart in your own head, but it kills your ability to respond to reality. Real traders don't wait for certainty, they wait for probability. They know every single decision carries risk, but they act before. They feel ready. They act because they understand that in trading there is no perfection, there is only adaptation. You might think you need more time, more confirmation, more signals. But what you really need is to accept that you'll never be fully ready. Think about that moment, the one we all know too well, when you saw the setup but your hand froze over the mouse. Your heart raced. Your logic whispered, maybe just one more candle for confirmation. But deep down, you knew. You knew that was fear wearing a costume, disguised as discipline. It was the fear of being wrong, the fear of losing money, the fear of bruising your ego, and that is precisely why most traders never evolve. It's not because they lack knowledge. It's because they don't allow themselves to fail on purpose. They prefer the temporary safety of being right over the permanent growth that comes from being wrong. Perfection doesn't exist in the market. It only exists in the minds of those who refuse to face the beautiful, messy randomness of it all. When you demand everything to be perfect, what you're really saying is, you don't trust yourself to handle what's imperfect. And that makes you a victim of the very control you so desperately crave. The market doesn't need you to be right. It needs you to be honest. Every trade is not an IQ test. It's an emotional test. It's not about how smart you are, but how brave you are to act when clarity is nowhere to be found. A professional trader once said something that has stuck with me forever. If you need certainty, you'll never be rich. The market doesn't pay you for being certain. It pays you for accepting uncertainty, and perfectionism is just the most sophisticated, elegant way of rejecting uncertainty. You call it preparation, but ask yourself honestly, is your endless preparation actually just fear wearing a mask? Maybe you're stuck in the same trap I was. You think you're getting closer to mastery, but what you're actually doing is shrinking your world. You're making it smaller, safer, quieter, and in that safety your potential slowly suffocates and dies. Because in trading and in life, growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens in the chaos. It happens in those moments when your hands tremble, when your heart pounds, when you have no idea what's coming next, but you summon the courage to act anyway. Perfection isn't the peak of discipline. It's the wall standing between you and your freedom. The moment you let go of the need to be perfect, you don't become careless, you become authentic. You start trading not to prove something to the world, but to observe yourself in the middle of chaos. You begin to understand that the market isn't your enemy. It's your mirror. It reflects your fears, your greed, your impatience, and your courage right back at you. Every trader says they want freedom. Yet most of us spend our time building a perfect prison, where everything is measured, controlled, and predictable. That prison feels safe, but it suffocates your creativity, your instinct, and your gut feeling. And until you find the courage to step out of that cage, you'll never understand what true flow feels like. That magical state where trading stops being a battle and becomes a dance. You don't need perfection to win, you just need enough honesty to accept the chaos. Your brain evolved to protect you, not to make you a profitable trader. Its core mission is survival, not performance. So when the market gets volatile, your brain doesn't just see numbers on a screen, it sees danger. Every red candle is a threat. Every sudden loss is a jolt of pain. Every missed opportunity feels like rejection. The same ancient circuitry that kept our ancestors alive now sabotages us in the world of trading. This is the heart of the paralyzed brain, the clash between ancient instinct and modern risk. Deep inside your brain is the amygdala, its primitive alarm system. The moment uncertainty appears on your chart, it starts blaring. It floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline, your focus narrows, your breathing gets shallow, and that classic fight-or-flight response kicks in. But here's the problem. In trading, there's no predator to fight and nowhere to run. So you just sit there frozen, staring at the screen as raw emotion completely overrides your rational mind. This paralysis doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It builds quietly, trade after trade. It starts with a small hesitation, that tiny delay before you execute. Then self-doubt creeps in, a subtle voice questioning your own analysis. Before you know it, your brain locks down completely. You stop thinking in probabilities and start seeing everything in black and white. Every move feels like life or death. Every loss feels personal. And once emotion hijacks your logic, the outcome is practically sealed. And here's the brutal paradox. The more you try to avoid pain, the more pain you end up creating. Your brain's instinct to escape loss leads to the very behaviors that guarantee it. You exit winning trades way too early, terrified of giving back profits. You move your stop-loss further down, hoping for a miracle turnaround. You add to a losing position, desperately trying to average down. Each of these is a desperate attempt to regain a sense of control. But the market has no memory, no sympathy, and it doesn't negotiate. It simply reflects your own internal state right back at you. Professional traders understand this mechanism deeply. They know the real battle isn't about predicting the next price move. It's about calming the chemical storm inside their own minds. They learn to recognize the very first signs of an emotional hijack. The accelerated heartbeat, the shallow breath, the obsessive need to check the charts every 2 seconds. They know these aren't signs of intuition. They are symptoms of fear. And fear is the silent killer of consistency. The paralyzed brain also shows up as overanalysis. You stare at a dozen different indicators, multiple time frames, and scroll through endless opinions online, searching for that one perfect setup where everything aligns. But perfection never comes. The longer you wait, the stronger your doubt grows. The market moves without you, and then your brain punishes you for missing the move. This vicious feedback loop of hesitation and regret becomes a mental prison. Your confidence erodes, and soon every trade feels forced. This is when you start outsourcing your decisions. You start copying others, chasing hot tips on social media, or trading based on news headlines, anything to silence the crippling uncertainty inside. But the more you seek external validation, the weaker your own internal conviction becomes. The market becomes a giant mirror, amplifying every single crack in your emotional foundation. So how do you break free? It all begins with awareness. You cannot fix what you cannot see. A professional trader learns to step outside of their own thoughts, to see the emotion without becoming the emotion. When fear arises, they name it. This is fear. When greed starts whispering sweet nothings, they notice it. This is greed. This simple act of labeling the emotion disarms its power. It transforms a knee-jerk reaction into a conscious observation. Next comes acceptance. You have to accept that fear, doubt, and hesitation will never completely disappear. The goal isn't to eliminate them, it's to learn to coexist with them. The difference between an amateur and a professional isn't the presence of emotion, it's the response to it. The professional feels everything the amateur does, but they act according to their plan. The amateur feels everything and acts according to their impulse. Neuroscience confirms what elite traders have known for years. Repetition rewires the brain. Every single time you execute a trade according to your plan, regardless of the outcome, you strengthen new neural pathways of discipline and confidence. And every time you deviate from your plan, you reinforce the old, destructive pathways of fear and chaos. Over time, your brain literally becomes a reflection of your habits. This is why journaling, reviewing your trades, and self-reflection are not optional extras. They are the essential tools you use to reprogram your mind. Writing down what you felt, when you hesitated, why you exited a trade early. These small acts of awareness create a crucial space between your thought and your action. In that space, freedom begins. The paralyzed brain loses its grip when you introduce structure. A clearly defined trading plan acts as your psychological anchor in the storm. Your entry criteria, your stop loss, and your profit targets aren't just numbers. They are the boundaries that contain your emotions. Once your rules are set, your only job is to execute. The more mechanical and rule-based your decision process is, the less room there is for emotion to interfere and sabotage you. The great irony is that true control in trading comes from surrendering control. When you stop fighting your emotions and start working with them, you regain your mental fluidity. You learn to act despite the fear. You learn to execute despite the uncertainty. You stop needing to be right on every single trade and start focusing on following your process. The paralyzed brain thrives on chaos. The disciplined mind thrives on order. To trade like a professional, you must choose which world you're going to live in. Because the market doesn't punish bad setups, it punishes weak minds. In the end, freedom in trading doesn't come from mastering the market. It comes from mastering yourself. Once you learn to see through the fog of your own fear, every chart becomes clearer, every decision becomes simpler, and every trade becomes just another step on your path toward mental liberation. If you've clicked on this video, if you've made it this far into your journey, it means something. It means you're no longer just looking for the next hot tip or the holy grail indicator that promises to make you rich overnight. You're past that. You've graduated from the classroom of easy answers and entered the real arena. Welcome to the infinite game. What's the infinite game? It's a game with no final whistle, no clear winner or loser, and no rule book. The only objective is to keep playing, to stay in the game. And in this game, your opponent isn't the market. It's not the hedge funds, not the algorithms, and it's certainly not the other traders on your screen. The only opponent you will ever truly face is the person staring back at you in the mirror. That's right, it's you. It has always been you. Every trade you take, every hesitation, every moment you let fear grip you or greed blind you, that's not the market testing you. That is you, revealing yourself. Your choices on the chart are a direct reflection of your character, your discipline, your fears, and your deepest held beliefs about yourself and about money. Success in this game isn't measured by a soaring account balance, a long winning streak, or a flawless strategy. Those are just temporary scorecards. True success, the kind that lasts, is measured by something far more profound. It's measured by your willingness to show up every single day and confront yourself. It's measured by your courage to look your weaknesses dead in the eye, to embrace the sting of failure and still have the strength to place the next trade with a clear mind. The market doesn't ask you to be a genius. It doesn't demand that you predict the future. It only asks for two things: brutal honesty with yourself and the patience to learn from every single stumble. Think about that. Honesty and patience, not brilliance, not luck. You see, we're obsessed with control. We want to control the outcome, control the price, control the uncontrollable. But that's a fool's errand. The only thing you can ever truly control is your own reaction. When a trade goes against you, do you spiral into panic and revenge trade, or do you accept the outcome, analyze the mistake, and move on with your plan intact? In that single moment of reaction, you discover what you're really made of. That is where true strength is forged. It's not the strength to beat the market, because you can't. It's the strength to conquer your own limiting beliefs. It's the power to overcome the hidden fears that whisper, "You're not good enough," and to dismantle the self-sabotaging habits that keep you stuck in a cycle of boom and bust. Every time you look at your reflection, I want you to see more than just a trader. See a human being on a path of growth. See someone learning to remain calm in the storm, to master their emotions when money is on the line, and to respect the fundamental uncertainty of the future. This is the ultimate lesson the market teaches. It's a lesson no book can fully capture, no indicator can plot, and no guru can sell you. It's a deeply personal journey of self-discovery, disguised as a quest for financial gain. If what I'm saying right now resonates with you, if it's striking a chord deep inside, then congratulations. You've officially begun the real game, the game of self-awareness, genuine discipline, and relentless growth. So I invite you to stop just watching the charts. Start observing yourself. Ask yourself the hard questions every single day. Do I have the courage to face my own flaws? Am I disciplined enough to learn from my losses just as much as my wins? Am I committed to this process, not just the outcome? If this video speaks to the real you, not just the trader persona you put on, then subscribe to Trading Mindset Lab. We're building a community of traders who value truth over tactics and growth over greed. Share this with a fellow trader who needs to hear this message. Let's walk this challenging but rewarding path together. Because in the end, this game isn't about winning once. It's about becoming a better version of yourself every single day without fail. Thanks for watching.